now joined by Ruth-Teer Tomaselli, Professor Emeritus in Culture and Media Studies at UKZN. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. I think many people are shocked, but many people also say a life long lived at the age of 96. What is your response to the passing of Queen Elizabeth II?
Well, it can't be unexpected because no one can live forever. Although, as deaths go, it was a good death because even 2 days ago, she was doing her duty and she was inaugurating or welcoming her 15th Prime Minister. That's 15 Prime Ministers in one lifetime. It's unheard of. It's, as you say, it's entirely unprecedented. So I think that it's a moment of great sadness, but also a moment to look back on nearly 2/3 of a century of a reign well done.
Yeah, let's maybe look back and just look back at her legacy. Many would say, what a great legacy, truly devoted to her work and her duty. But many would also speak about the colonizer aspect of it. And I'm sure you can't divorce the two because that's the reality of what happened. But let's look back and speak about the legacy that Queen Elizabeth II is leaving behind.
Well, I think that you've got to look at the period as a huge shift from what was the British Empire through to what became a commonwealth of nations. And there's obviously a colonial legacy and a colonial reality to that, but there's also an enormous decolonial movement. The Queen oversaw the independence of many countries, particularly countries in Africa as well as countries in the West Indies. And she actually put her mind, as you said in your introduction, she put her mind towards creating a commonwealth. So although she had no constitutional role in actually governing the country, she was, as it were, the kind of symbolic glue that stuck a lot of things together and actually held together the Commonwealth in not only a symbolic way, but in quite a material way as well. So the kind of colonial legacy moved from out and out, unabashed colonialism of the empire into a far more subtle kind of partnership, even though it might have been an uneven partnership. But for many countries, such as Australia and Canada and in Jamaica, for instance, those countries were really held together in a network that was both political as well as economic and cultural. And I think that that's a very important aspect of her legacy.
Certainly. I want us to speak about what's going to happen moving forward. Already we understand that Charles has ascended to the throne and he is now king. We've been speaking to our correspondent, Ollie Barrett, who says there's going to, of course, be some proceedings that are going to happen in the next couple of days. But you basically have a country that's in mourning. I've been seeing on social media people speaking about how devastated they are and how many are heading to Buckingham Palace to pay their respects and to, put flowers outside. We're actually showing these visuals at the moment. So it just seems as though there's a lot of devastation, and I'm sure people are thinking, what happens now moving forward?
Well, it will be a period of great uncertainty and kind of great reflection. And I think that what you're going to see, and if you've been watching the BBC, for instance, or CNN, or any of your own programs, the South African programs, there's a lot of introspection and also a lot of looking back. People obviously have prepared obituaries in great detail in preparation for this. And so there's a huge wealth of archival material that we're going to be seeing. And I think that ordinary people are going to think back and connect parts of their life and their life history to the reign of the Queen. And then gradually what's going to happen is that it's going to, the emphasis is now going to look forward a little bit, and within a few months there'll be a coronation, and that's going to be a whole big festival, not only for Britain but for the entire world. It's going to be a huge spectacle.
Yes, I want us to maybe go back and reflect on Queen Elizabeth II, and I don't want to do this, but I'm going to. If anybody's watched The Crown, it's a great way of really understanding how Queen Elizabeth ascended to the throne and how it actually wasn't really planned. It was tragic that her father passed away at the time, and she was basically pushed into the role of being the Queen, but also how she met Prince Philip of Greece, and how apparently it was a love at first sight. So I'm not sure if you can speak on any of that, but maybe just how she was almost forced into that role of being queen and didn't really have a chance to say, I don't want to do this.
No, that was never an option. Abdication has been across the whole history of the British monarchy, has been a very few and far between kind of situation. And so when her uncle did abdicate and her father became king, of course that was a scandal beyond all scandals. And I think even to this day it still reverberates as something which is a real break in the whole lineage, not only of the royal family, but of the sense of certainty of what the monarchy was. And I think that it seems to me, obviously I don't remember it firsthand, but from history books it's quite clear that her father became this rock, this really steadying influence. And her mother, who of course we know more recently as the Queen Mother, her mother was a very steely person. She was small in stature, but she had a core of steel to her. And so I think those two influences really created a sense of duty, a sense of destiny. And when her father passed away quite prematurely, she really took over the role as an extremely young woman and very gracefully aged into the role and made it her own. She changed the nature of the monarchy completely. And you talk about her husband, Prince Philip. I think he was enormously influential in the background on how she managed not only her career, but the whole persona of the monarchy. So that it moved really from being a single person to being a family affair. They talk about the firm. So there has already been in place for many years. You can see that there has been an entire support structure of the monarchy, of the royal family. And so with Charles sort of coming up to the head of the queue now, everybody shuffles up, and Prince William, who was third in line, now becomes second in line. So there is a new shuffling of the way in which these hierarchies work. And of course, in many ways, it's quite ironic that we have a new prime minister of the United Kingdom, and just 48 hours later, we have a new king. So it's a change of the guards in really a very fundamental way.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your insights. That was very insightful. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. That was Ruth-Teer Tomaselli, Professor Emeritus in Culture and Media Studies at UKZN.